Hey, who'd you talk to? What's going on? It is me, Mike Lepre, King Mike L. This is Legit Paranormal, brought to you by LegitPodcast.com. Sunday night. Yes, it is. June 4th, 2023. For the math geeks, I'm going to claim that's going to be somewhat easy. Because it's threes and twos. So let's do 6 minus 4. Just to do it easy, simple like that is 2. And then we'll do I don't even know. I can't even think. Joining me as always, buddy, money. There, buddy. I can't even do the math geek. Sorry, I'm sorry. Say hello.
Hello. This is Buddy, and I'm happy to be on tonight's show, Michael. I'm sorry that you're confused.
Oh, there he goes. And he's talking about
podcast.
Wow. That was super fast, buddy. You just max headroomed it.
Yeah, the internet service is awful, yeah.
You think?
In the mountains of Smithfield has really disrupted my my jam sauce up here.
And don't the loons like to camp out on the satellites and stuff?
The loons, yeah, they like to hang out on the satellites and they like to pull on the dish, and they don't like to be outdone, Mike. So there's a little bit of the doggies out there fighting with them earlier. But I have something really incredible to look forward to this evening, Mike. So back in March, I did this little beer tasting event here in Rhode Island called the Big Labrewski. And you just basically, it was a beer tasting. You get to go to every 30 out of 30, probably 35 breweries here in Rhode Island. You get a little ticket, and they give you a little beer. So we were in our travels to all these different breweries. We ended up at this lovely brewery called Vigilant Brewing. It's out there in Bristol, Rhode Island. It's a lovely new brewery. It's about
maybe 90 something. It's like 8% alcohol.
Oh, they don't, Mike. This is not something that you would call a beer, Mike, because of its color. Because it's kind of purpley in color. It doesn't taste like your normal lager or ale. It's a sour, and if I'm gonna introduce this beer in short, it's peanut butter jelly time. Peanut butter jelly time. It's peanut butter jelly, and it's the closest thing to a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It's only 5% alcohol by volume.
You know what? Seriously though, dude.
Jelly. You can taste the essence of the peanut butter and jelly sandwich. All in this beer right now.
All right. Okay. Listen.
So delicious.
Last time we do this, if it doesn't look like beer and it looks like juice, and then it tastes like peanut butter and jelly, guess what? It's not beer. Joining us, Sin Schrader Hill. How are you, Sin?
I'm kind of grossed out at that beer, buddy.
Yeah, only 5% alcohol. Joining us also, Dreamy David Barr. How are you, Dave?
I'm all right. How is everybody tonight?
Buddy's drinking peanut butter and jelly. Joining us from Block Island Ghost Tours, and I say it correctly now because I watched the way I speak. It's Holly. How are we, Holly?
Doing all right. How are you?
Doing very good. And finally, joining us, Tim Weisberg. Tim, how are you?
I'm doing all right. And buddy, I feel you on the colored drinks tonight because I'm drinking a red slushy.
Oh, sweet. Look at you, dude. Cheers.
So,
all right. But would you agree that it's not? All right. Never mind. Because that's a bad conversation that I get into all the time. If it tastes like peanut butter and jelly, right, and it's purple in nature, how is it? Whatever. You know how it goes. So, Tim, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right. Feeling a little better after downing some of this red slushy, too.
Yeah, I guess it'll help.
But
I guess, if anything, that's what it's there for, right?
To be fair, this is not beer, so I don't feel as bad as Buddy should feel.
See?
What if we just call it Buddy's fermented beverage tonight?
Oh.
Buddy juice.
Buddy juice. There you go.
Oh, my God. It's spectacular.
He liked it so much that I feel bad making fun of it, but it's like it's hard not to do because he's always like every week. He's like, and this one tastes like a popsicle, and you're like, well, that's not a, it's a popsicle. It's more like a fruit. But no. Holly, let me ask you quick. How are things down on the island of Block? Which I don't think anyone's ever called it that, huh? They don't ever say island of Block.
I don't think so either.
I like that.
It's going pretty well. We've had our first week and a half of being open. We've run a tour almost every single night, with the exception of yesterday's insane wind. Got good things going.
Good. Yeah, that would have been a tough tour to do with the wind, I think.
Yeah, but we did have 2 people who showed up anyway, hoping to go on the tour. I had to say no to them, fortunately.
Is Rick still doing the Teen Wolf thing on top of the van? Or did he knock that out?
I'm not entirely sure what you're referring
You
to.
probably don't even know that movie. Sin,
I
you know what I'm talking about? Never, hold on. Tim,
Teen
you know what I'm
Wolf?
talking about. I know you know what I'm talking about. If I told
Of
you I was
course.
going to Teen Wolf the van, you know exactly what I was about to do, right?
You have to play Surfing USA.
There it is.
Right.
And I'm on top. Yep, there
Believe
it is.
me, I've
All right.
done it myself many times.
Yeah, so have I. I've been in trouble for that. Yeah. I did it with an Oldsmobile Cutlass, 1979. I stood on top of that and rode it down the high school thing. I got caught. Dave, what have you heard about Block Island, and why are you still in the news studio?
Well, I've heard Block Island is a great time, and we
Yep.
have some events coming up there, one including Tim.
Yep.
Why am I still in the studio?
Yes.
As you know, we had an issue outside the studio last week. I don't know if you want to talk about it or not, but
No, Dave, I want to talk about the fact that you've moved in. Your wife's
Oh.
staying there too, Dave.
I
saw her.
know you've been coming here to see if I'm here, and that's what got you in trouble, right? I'm just scoping out the studio because word on the street is that some of our friends are going to try to break in here and trash the place tonight. So I'm just protecting our studio.
I think Holly, excuse Dave, he is from another realm. He thinks there's puppets literally after me. I don't know. Sin, let me ask you something. Do you go back to early days of and I don't mean this to say that you're old, because you'll get back at me for
Well,
this. I know
I'm
that.
probably the oldest one here, but yeah, go ahead.
No, that's not true. It's got to be me. I didn't have any inkling towards anything paranormal until I started to hear talk radio. And talk radio was the first thing to me that was scary, as opposed to anything I'd ever seen. Did you ever get that? Did you get that whole experience of talk where you're from? Talk, because we had it every Sunday, like talk radio. No?
We had talk radio, but it was like the trading post. So I'm selling a goat today if you want it. I mean, that's the kind of talk radio we had. Is that what you're talking about?
I don't even know where you live now. I mean, what
that
kind
was-
of talk radio you got? Like, seriously, man, time to get an FM. No, it was AM, and it was we'd get
Just saying.
Arcel. And he's what made it like me. I could listen to that. That was scarier. It was actually scary to hear people call in and talk and whatnot. Now, Tim, I've been listening to I think some stuff, newer stuff that you've been doing, older stuff. You seem to have that same ability to tell a story, or I like to use the word recant. Buddy gave me that earlier. Recant things that you've heard. How much did you pick up through osmosis? How much did you just train? Like where do you fall in with the whole talk radio things side of stuff?
Well, I never had any formal training in it at all. I was just somebody who listened to a lot of it. My dad listened to it a lot growing up, and so I picked up bits and pieces that way. And then when I started doing sports work about 24 years ago or so, I made sure, actually even longer than that, probably about 25, 26 years ago, I started listening to sports talk radio, and it just kind of led to me picking up bits and pieces here and there of different styles and just figuring out what makes for a good conversation on the radio. So nothing formal, everything kind of just like you said, by osmosis or by listening to what I did. I would always go back and listen and realize where I screwed up and then try to get better the next time.
Yeah, that kind of sounds a lot like what I'm doing. Only difference is, I don't like to go back and I can't listen to my own voice. Like I've now officially heard myself so much that I don't like to hear my own voice. So I have to like jump over pieces. And I wish I was like, some people say that and they're full of shit, but I really do mean that. Like, I don't want to hear my voice anymore. It's like, per nauseum. Like I just want to get past it. But like, I love to go back and see how did I handle that wrong? Because a lot of the things that I'll do wrong is I'll just say the most inappropriate thing at the wrong time. Like my timing sometimes could be subpar. Buddy, would you like to weigh in on that? I'll take the mute off so you can ace Frehley us. You weren't listening. You weren't listening.
I weren't listening, Mike. I was staring at my beer, but you were talking about how he just naturally came on the radio, and I'm sorry.
What did you think you heard?
I'm sorry.
What do you think you heard?
Osmosis and natural.
Dave, what do you think Buddy said?
I think he's listening to Ozzy Osbourne, the Osmosis.
That's where I'm at now. Yes.
Album.
Okay.
It's a great album.
While drinking his beer, it is a great album, Tim.
Yes. By the way, Holly, there's one thing you missed out on because I don't know if you guys know Holly's. I think you just turned 20, right? So Holly is by far the youngest of the group. What you missed out on was great album covers. Like, I'm just want to let you know, break that to your generation. You missed out on album covers, like album covers. They were like works of art, like comic book covers used to be back in the day, or now the digital. I digress.
Sometimes we bought stuff just for the album cover. It's like, oh, that looks cool. I think I'll pick that up and listen to it.
Tim, you catch yourself doing that?
Never purchased them.
Really?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Don't say
my
grandma.
Have...
Don't. Hold on. What say your grandma?
My parents weren't into it as much.
Okay. Tim, you ever go to a store, flip through them, and end up getting something just for especially back in the old days? I don't know if you listened to like whatever was local, but like I would go like, where the punk records were, or like where the local records were, and always try to figure out like who was who. Like that's what I did. I don't know if you ever did that. I would go by album cover sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and sometimes you got burned. Sometimes the really cool album covers were absolutely shitty albums, but sometimes the best albums had, no. I mean, think about this. The Beatles' White Album, Metallica's Black Album, two great albums that if you looked at the cover, you'd say, but the music inside is what mattered. So sometimes it was worth it. Sometimes you got burned.
Yeah. There was a band called locally called the Douchebags. And the thing was, buddy, you know who I'm talking about? So they would always draw their own cover. And it was always like, and they spelled it Dooche, and then you could spell bags however you want. But anyways, they would always have on the cover, it'd be like a demon always coming out of another demon's rectum. In different, but the artwork was so great that it made you laugh that these guys took this much time to create this, and they would do they would do punk records. So, I mean, no offense to punk, but you can bang that shit out. They had like a record, it seemed like every 2 or 3 months, right? Always a brand new picture of this beautiful demon coming out of another demon's rectum. And it's like, I had to take my hats off to them. Like, they were creative geniuses, in my opinion. Like, you might not like the name, but the artwork was incredible. Buddy, do you know what I speak of? Have you ever seen one of this?
I do. I remember the song, We Are the Douchebags and You Suck. That's how the song started. I remember a friend of mine had a number of their punk albums. A same friend that frequented State of Corruption shows, and he frequented the Douchebags, and he frequented another band called the first word of the band is Anal, and the second word is See You Next Tuesday. That was another big popular Providence band that did all kinds of funny artwork on there. One of them was Bert from Bert and Ernie, and he was doing something awful with himself. So it's like you grab that, hey, this looks funny, and it's just like.
I don't remember that cover, buddy. I don't even remember that band. You sure that wasn't maybe just something?
I saw that band. They opened for it was either Anthrax or Pantera at the Worcester Palladium. Bam. And rumor has it the singer OD'd on Ambien, and he said it was awful when he came out of the coma that he was in.
Oh, all right, good. Yeah, we opened for.
Thank you, David.
We opened.
They basically just slammed on their instruments, however they could, and the guy screamed.
Hey, Tim, I gotta before we start talking about Block Island, I'm trying to pace myself on this. I gotta ask you another oddball question I wrote down that I wanted to ask you. As a sports fan, and I know it's paranormal show, but I gotta ask you: with the whole new kickoff rules that the NFL is going to adopt on kickoffs, the fair catch. I don't know if you heard about it. Just complete fair catch. Like, in other words, kickoffs are just going to be junk. There'll be no more returns. It's not going to be like you can fair catch. You just fair catch a kickoff. Now, as a football purist and a fan of sports, does that one bother you?
I think you just created a good 10-minute block where people are just going to get up and leave the TV and
That's
go
fine.
to the fridge or,
Fine.
like there's no excitement now in that play. And if there's no excitement in that play, people are just going to skip over it and come back when it's first down.
And what about the people that made their careers or went to the Hall of Fame as kickoff returners?
Well, think about how many games were decided on that. I mean, I think back to that Patriots Packers Super Bowl, Desmond Howard's kickoff return. Like that was the highlight of that game. Even though the Packers won pretty handily, that's what turned the tide.
And if you think about it, when you think about sports clips, you cannot avoid the flea flicker one where he spikes the ball on the band guy because everybody loves that one. Now that'll never happen.
There's going to be so many plays, so much excitement, and so many people like a Matthew Slater, whose career will be affected by that. Here's a guy who that's the only thing he does for that team is kickoff coverage. What's the point of having that if you've got a guy that's just going to catch the ball and stand there?
I'm so glad I got to ask Tim that question. I'm sorry, guys. I'll get right back to it, but that's been killing me. And I haven't had anybody I could throw that at and really argue because it's a horrible rule. You don't even know it's ruining it. So guys, Block Island, the exact dates this month will be, Holly, make sure I'm right. Is it the 24th, 25th, 26th? Am I right?
Gosh, I was going to say the 23rd to 25th, but I could be wrong now. Whatever the Friday to Sunday is.
It's the 23rd to the 25th.
There you go. Just, if you're right, just say it because I'm not saying I'm right. I'm trying to come
You made me doubt myself there.
Uh-oh, that's not good. Now, Tim, you really must be like, what the is going to happen? We'll give you a little explanation while we got you here. On Friday, I'll meet you at the ferry, and buddy, you want to come and pretend to be like a bodyguard because you said you wanted to do that. I mean, we don't need you, but you said you wanted to do that. You're muted. All right, go ahead. Now start speaking.
Quite possibly on the Friday, Mike. The Saturday would not look good. But
yeah, I know. Okay. All right. So, anyways, Sin, this is probably news to you. And Dave, I know you know more stuff than you let on because you're in the goddamn studio. But Holly, I've talked to people about this, right? The funniest thing that conversations I've had have got to be about the logistics of a boat. That makes sense. Like, I have to explain to people that the boat leaves. When the ferry leaves for the last time, guess what?
That's
You're
it.
on the island.
Yeah, you're stuck.
And there's some people that are not planning that. Tim, they're not planning it correctly. They're looking at the list of events and they're going, all right, I'm going to do this. And I'm like, all right, if you're not, the last ferry is 8 o'clock, 8:30.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing is you got to plan. You can't, I mean, everybody loves to just show up to things and that's great. And we'd love to have you. But if you're not planning, you're either going to get stuck on the island or you're going to, not be able to enjoy it to the fullest. So the last ferry is at 8 o'clock. And if you don't have a hotel room booked, you might be screwed.
Yeah.
There's the hotels book, they fill up. And it's just Block Island in the summer. If you have a ferry off island or a hotel room off island, that's great. But you got to make sure you catch that last ferry because you're not going to get there otherwise.
Yeah, we're gonna. You know what? We might have to have a last call for ferry type announcement. Like I'm at that point now where I don't know if I trust everybody to make it to the last ferry because I don't want to be the person that's responsible for the people that don't make the ferry. Like not it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it. I can't pull hotel rooms out of a hat. I wish I could. Our magician can't either.
No, he can't. Not hotels. No. Sin, you understand that, right? You travel ahead. You plan ahead. You're one of those people that gets everything done, right?
Yeah. And you're SOL if you miss that last ferry.
Yeah.
All right, get that one.
SOL.
So now, Tim, what do you think is going to happen? That's my favorite question to ask you right now. What do you think's going to happen?
I'm expecting everything from human sacrifice to conjuring demons. Whatever works. Whatever gives people their money's worth. That's what I say.
That's two checked off. Yeah, no, it's gonna be a lot of fun. Block Island Ghost Tours is a really good time in general on the island. It's a nice. See, I'm one of those people that like when I go to like a city or I go to a location, I always want I hate to say it like this. I'm gonna use the word alternative, and I don't mean grunge. I'm just mean I like that an alternative type of place to hang, a thing to do, as opposed to I don't know. I don't want to go hear somebody sing really loud or stuff like that. I just want to go hang, and I like holes in the wall. And speaking of holes in the wall, Rick's Bar Club Soda is a fantastic hole in the wall. If as far as Block Island is concerned, or any place is concerned, is what he calls it, which is a term of endearment. Dave, you like holes in the wall? Wait, stop.
Those are some of the best places.
I'm sorry.
You meet some of the greatest people. You hear some of the most interesting stories there. Yeah,
it is. In honesty, yes. Truthful, yes. Yeah. Yes, those are my favorite places to be.
Hey, Mike, something's going on in the studio. I think I need to go check it out.
Yeah, Dave.
Someone's messing around with the lighting, the cameras.
All right, Dave. You got to get your stuff out of there, all right?
I don't know what you're talking about.
All right, Dave.
There's some funny noises going on at the door.
All right, Dave. That was Jimmy David Barr, guys. He's out of his tree, I think, man, because he's still stuck in a studio. Guys, it's a green screen. So, let's see. Moving on. Holly, what do you think is gonna happen? What do you think is gonna happen?
Well, I'm hoping we get a bunch of people, and it's all gonna go very smoothly. We're gonna have a lot of great events.
All right, wait, right there. That's one part right there that I know already. That you're going to paint a picture of, and you're going to get it wrong. Things will never go.
Oh, no. Well, the whole trick, though, is to act like nothing's ever wrong.
Yeah. We'll be fine.
I'm really good at that. Everything's going to go smoothly.
That made me sad for a second, Holly. You know what she just said? You're used to that. I'm used to doing that.
Yeah.
That's not good.
I've helped with weddings. I've planned all kinds of events. It never goes right, but you can't let anyone know that.
All right, let me ask you this, Tim. Exorcise a demon or plan a wedding?
I'd rather deal with a demon over a bride any day.
Yeah. No, for real,
I'm not convinced they're two different things either.
No, maybe not. It's like before I met my wife,
Listen,
I was
it's
incomplete.
not a coincidence that both involve a priest, right?
Yeah. Yeah. The funeral march and the wedding theme are almost kind of the same song in a weird sort of way. If you sing them to yourself, and it's pretty much the same song to me. Can she hear? Sometimes I have to check to make sure the door is not open, so I can keep myself to myself. It's not like she's gonna watch. Look, if there's one person that I don't have to worry about rewatching my shows, is my wife. If I wanted to just start talking about my bank account number and all this stuff, she'd never watch it. I get away with it. She'd never go back and listen. Why would she? She hears this all the time. Tim, are you worried about the fact that sometimes I don't shut up?
No, not at all. It means I have to talk less.
See, Tim has a sports background and a paranormal background. That's fantastic for me. And he likes to drink. You know what I mean? Like Tim, if there was a buddy app and it was just strictly buddy apps, and buddy, you know what I mean by this? We'd probably see ourselves. We'd probably scroll each other through. He likes sports, paranormal, and drink too. All right. I wonder if he likes Goodfellas, Bronx Tale, and all those kind of movies.
Sure.
And we're in.
I mean, I don't know that I can quote him as much as you may be able to, but.
Oh, yeah. I was just watching Bronx Tale, but Sin, have you ever seen Bronx Tale?
I have not. Darling, you forget where I am. I am way down here, way down yonder. I'm down here.
Yeah, but
no, I don't like to listen to the
For the record, that's like me saying, no, I didn't watch Deliverance. That's what you just did to me. That's what you just did to me when I said Bronx Tale. You're like, well, I'm not Italian. I'm not up there up north with you Italians.
Hold up. You think Deliverance is my favorite movie? Oh,
No.
hell no.
But
Oh,
if you're
hell
gonna
no.
connect, if I'm gonna name a movie that's gonna connect people to the South, however
Ew.
fortunate it is,
I would have thought maybe Smokey and the Bandit.
Thank you.
that's fun.
See, he is so much more politically minded and
All right.
correct. And
But
all
did
that.
everybody get it, other than probably Holly?
Ew,
You knew what I meant.
that's disgusting. I still have nightmares about that thing.
It's still got Burt Reynolds in it. How bad can it be? Like,
Because
for
it also
real.
has
Inbred
rapists in it too.
Thank you.
Yeah, Ned
Thank
Beatty.
you.
So
Poor Ned Beatty. My favorite Burt Reynolds wouldn't be Smokey and the Bandit though, which is the second Burt Reynolds film we're now on, and I have a photo. I have Lonnie Anderson's photo there. I really do. Is Cannonball Run, and I can't figure out why they can't get all the BD celebrities they have now and do a legit reboot of the Cannonball Run. Any Tim, is that a movie you watched? Maybe.
yeah, I mean, I think they've tried it with some different stuff. I remember there was like some of those movies in the early 2000s where they tried to pack a bunch of celebrities into them. I remember like they had that car wash. What was that? The Wash movie, like that they packed all the hip hop stars into. Like they tried to do that, but
That was
I don't know.
brutal.
I think we see celebrities so much all the time now that it's not as much of a novelty as it was with Cannonball Run, or especially those disaster movies of the 70s, where like all these famous people are in a building that's on fire or a ship that's going to go underwater.
Well, that also leans into the Love Boat. That sounds like a beast. Battle of the Network Stars. Like, I love that show. Holly, this is all like pig Latin, right? You don't really understand a single word that we're saying, right?
Nope.
Right. So there was only 3 channels, Holly, right? It was ABC, NBC, and CBS. And they would take their best sitcom athletes and make them compete in such great events like the bike. There was there was an obstacle course, and nobody could beat Chachi. Nobody could beat Chachi. Scott Baio, you know who Scott Baio is? Charles in Charge. That's all I got. All I can say is Chachi and Charles in Charge. That's, buddy, I can't think of another Scott Baio reference. I don't want to, right?
Charles in Charge, really. There's really no other space.
Yeah. Although they also had Circus of the Stars as well, where all these TV celebrities would all learn different circus acts and then put them on for people. You'd have like Cher sticking her head in a lion's mouth.
Scott Baio doing the flips. No, not Scott Baio. Todd from Different Strokes.
Todd.
Bridges.
Bridges.
Todd Bridges did the rings. He caught somebody or something like that. I remember that too. Yeah, that was when TV was so bad that they would take their sitcom celebrities and put them on other shows. And Holly, we would all get excited.
Great. I just never watched TV. And then no. I don't know the name of any of the actors.
All I did was watch TV.
So, you remember Pre-Elmo, the beautiful days of Pre-Elmo, Tim?
On Sesame Street?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. It was a lot better back then.
It was so like they couldn't see Snuffleupagus. It was like there was no Elmo. It was like
Mr. Hooper owned the store.
Yep. Holly, I feel like I'm just giving you like a history lesson so far, but
yeah,
Mr.
See,
Hooper.
I didn't watch Sesame Street either. I don't know any of these characters.
All right, well, let me see if I can get you to feel from a little
This
bit.
is just general pop culture, Holly.
I know. Listen.
You're going to have the worst weekend with me because I'm just going to teach you all of this stuff.
Okay. You got a short amount of time. We can do it.
By the time we're done with those 3 days, you're going to be able to win Trivial Pursuit against anybody.
Okay. Well, that's Rick's favorite game, so.
Only the pop culture edition, though.
Okay.
Actual science are like important things.
Oh, you know what? That's my wheelhouse too. I'm just stretching out right there because I thought, all right, maybe we got a trivia contender there because I'm just like useless information, movies, music, TV. pop culture stuff, like useless. If it's useless, I pretty much know it. If it's too deep and too much, I pass. Sin, let me ask you this: you've been doing some other podcasts. I've seen you popping and hopping all
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
What's the experience been like for you, real quick? How you been doing with it?
Mostly really favorable. They've been from all over. This last one was in Virginia, so she was pretty cool. It was supposed to be 30 minutes, ended up being hour and 15.
Yeah.
You know, I like to talk.
Yes,
so.
I do. Now, so Tim, when you see people say stuff like, because I was quoting somebody, I saw somebody writing something today about wanting to start a podcast, and I've had people contact me and say like, I'm gonna do a podcast, and I'll be like, all right, yeah, and they're like, it's about this box, and you're like, what's it gonna be about next week? And they're like, I don't know. I said, well, I don't know what to tell you, because it's gonna be more about just this 1 week. So I get insane questions. You must get super insane questions when it comes to just radio host podcast. What advice do you give to people if they want to start something? Like say somebody just wants to start something. They're like a Jets fan. They want to be an Aaron Rodgers. They want to start an Aaron Rodgers thing. I don't know why. Maybe they did. Like, what would you tell them? Like,
I tell them first and foremost, make sure you have something original to say. You know, if you're somebody who just listens to sports radio and you're going to regurgitate those same opinions on your podcast, don't bother, because way more people are listening to that sports radio station. And then when they find you, they're going to know that you're just repeating what you heard on the radio. You have to have something unique and original to say. You have to have an original take. And also, you know, you have to be able to inject personality into something without making it all about you. We went through that in the early 2000s when podcasts first came out, where people thought, oh, somebody would want to listen to just me and my buddies hanging out because we're funny. It's like, yeah, okay, but so is everybody and their buddies. You got to have something else that keeps them coming back week after week. And I think that's where a lot of people fail, is that they realize they have a limited amount of what they can say. Now, the great thing about the podcast world is you can do that. You can do 10 episodes and then never do another episode because you have nothing else to say, and those 10 episodes exist on their own. But if it's something that you want to be able to do week after week after week, you have to find a way to take yourself out of it a bit and to find new and different things to bring to the audience.
excellent. Let me ask you this: and do you ever find yourself doing a show hitting different levels, not peaks, not levels, just like different stages where you have to change things up to keep yourself locked in on it, keep yourself interested with it, keep yourself going forward?
I mean, the Midnight Society show is a great example of that, because when we started doing that, we did it 5 nights a week. And when I took over Midnight in the Desert, Art Bell's last show, that was something too, 5 nights a week. So, and we were doing that show for, I think, 3 or 4 hours a night. So it was a matter of, you know, a lot of repeat topics. So I have to find a way to take those guests and find what's unique about them in something that we might have already talked about a week or two ago. So, you know, Michelle, being who she is and the contacts she has, she knows a lot of people in the remote viewing world. So remote viewing was a topic we covered a lot because the audience wanted to know about it. But we had to find those differences from one remote viewer to the other. Or, you know, people love to have psychics on radio shows because it's a really easy guest to have, because you can just open up the phone lines and take calls from people that want free readings. But what happens when those phone calls aren't coming in and you need to start asking questions? You got to ask, what are the differences between, you know, that psychic and another psychic? So there's a challenge in that, and being able to make everybody, no matter what their ability or topic is, to seem like they are unique within that field.
It is. Sin, what do you think of that?
I think he's spot on. I have a question for you, Tim.
Good.
Have you ever had to fight dead air because the person you had on was not speaking? They were yes and no answers and nothing elaborated, anything like that?
So I've always said, and I told Michelle will tell you, I've said this before when it comes to booking Midnight Society, I always tell her I can have a 2-hour conversation with a paper bag, you know, but they've got to be willing to give me something back. The yes, no answers are what kill me. And people who also are promoting a book, but will say, well, you know, you can read about that in my book. Like, no, you agreed to come here. You got to give me a little something. I'm happy to just have a conversation with you, but you've got to be a partner in that conversation. And I think that that's where a lot of guests fail, is that some of them can't go past what it is that they've kind of pre-rehearsed what they want to talk about.
There it is. There it is. So listen, so that's exactly it. Here's the thing that I always say. I'll just talk. Sometimes we've had the person just stop talking. I'll just talk for them. If they don't want to talk, I'll talk. The question is this. I don't want yes, no. Like, it's not for print, the interview. You know what I'm trying to say to you? Like, so if I say to you, like, you know, which car do you like better? You don't just go, that one. Like, you say the car, explain it a little bit. Give me something. Like, that's just something there. Or in the paranormal world, the one that I bump into more than yes or no is when they eventually get you to a corner and they go, yeah, but nobody knows. And you're like, Jesus, like that's like the end all be all. That's like the get out of jail card in the paranormal world. They just eventually get you to a point where they go, yeah, but, and they lean into all the time. They go, yeah, but nobody knows. And you're like, that's not an answer. That's just a get out of jail free card, right?
Right. And what that means is that you haven't spent enough time developing your own opinion, your own theory, your own thought on it. And you're just, and that's the thing, you know, there's a lot of people in the paranormal world who do it to do it. And that's fine. If you do it just to have the experience, that's fine. But then don't expect to be a dynamic guest for people to have on their podcasts or radio shows if you can't go beyond what that is. And you have almost like a license with that nobody knows aspect of it. You have a license to be able to just kind of let your imagination run wild and think to yourself, so what could it be? I mean, what do I think that it might be? And how far am I willing to go with that? And nobody will really say to you, hey, that's too far, because again, nobody knows. So they'll go on that journey with you as long as you can, you know, bring that across in a way where it makes sense.
I think it's this too, Buddy, and Holly, you can weigh in on this. Nobody wants to be wrong anymore. So they don't want to give an opinion for the fear that they might be considered wrong. Holly, you think?
Yeah. I mean, I don't like confrontation. People don't want to discuss things. They don't want to be told that they're wrong. They don't want to have a discussion about what the possibilities are, differences in opinions. See it more and more.
Hey, Buddy, Italians do.
So I hear that's when I have to drink.
Yes, it is. No, we're naturally, just naturally confrontational.
Yes.
And that's the thing, though. Like, people don't want to be wrong, so that they don't want to look stupid, or even more so, they don't want to look stupid, which is what I always hear. Like my kids will say, like, I don't want to look stupid, and I'm like, I look stupid all the time. It's like something that I do, like, and I enjoy it too. Like, I don't know about you, Tim, but there's something about that whole like awkwardness sometimes you'll get with people when they're uncomfortable that I enjoy. Like, I can tell when someone's just awkward and they can't figure out what's going on. And instead of sometimes only making it better, I'll make it worse for a while. Just see how awkward we'll get, you know?
There's a word for that. It's sociopath.
Yeah, it's true. That's a good call. Good call.
No, I know what you mean, because if you can get somebody like to feel uncomfortable, but then get comfortable within that uncomfortableness, you know, then you've really kind of cracked through whatever layer they're trying to portray to you.
Yeah. By the last 15 minutes, if we can get them off kilter and then we reconstruct, we're usually on the same side of stuff as where they're being more open or giving. But you know this, we usually get more detailed as we go when it comes to certain stuff. Like, what's my favorite one? What's his name? I'm going to say his name wrong. What's his name? No, not that. From Ireland, the Irish guy.
Barry Fitzgerald.
Yeah, so Barry Fitzgerald was telling a story, and then he made a comment that he wouldn't follow up on because I guess it's going to be in a following documentary or something. It was one of those situations, just like you said before with the read my book. So I couldn't get it out of my head, and I kept following him up on it. So I finally got him at the end of the conversation where I flipped it, and I asked it in a different way, and he finally answered it. And that's probably my favorite moment in podcasting because I had to work so hard on getting this answer. I was asking him this. I was like, the Skinwalker Ranch, the whole fear of it is that there was a serpent underneath the ground. That's what people keep saying, right? Because he had gone down into a hole that supposedly was bigger in Ireland, somewhere in Ireland. But I think he was in Ireland, right? Or he might have been someplace else. And he said he saw something that changed his whole paradigm on life. And Holly, that word made me think of Scrabble. And it just made me think in general, because I'm like, paradigm. People don't usually use that word. And to change your whole paradigm, it's got to be pretty big. You know, it can't be just like a beautiful rock. So he wouldn't answer. We backed it in and we were like, was it serpentine in nature? Yes. That footage scared me more than I've been scared on the podcast, probably since we've done it, because that guy looked legitimately scared about what he was starting to talk about when he calmed down. Like, this wasn't the beginning of the podcast, that first 20 minutes. This is towards the end when he's already calmed down and he goes back to it. And you can tell he's not acting in that moment. You catch him and he just didn't like what he saw. So, Tim, I'm throwing it to you. Have you heard stuff like that, like the whole thing about the fact that the lower we go down, that there's a civilization or that there is something below us? I mean, you hear that a lot. You hear it a lot, I guess, is what I want to say.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard a lot of those different theories over the years, the Hollow Earth theory and things of that nature. I mean, I don't really get too wrapped up into a lot of that because when I think about the actual science of it, sometimes the mythology doesn't become as fun to go down that path. But I do find it interesting when people have devoted themselves to the research of it. And when they start coming up with things that make me think, even though my rational brain tells me that's not possible, you know, there's liquid magma in the middle of the earth. But then, you know, the other part of me is saying, yeah, but I kind of want to go down this path because I almost want to believe in it. But going back to your point of trying to get information out of people, you know, the 6 best words that anybody can say on the show is, I've never told anyone this before.
Yep.
Like when you get somebody to start sharing that kind of information with you, that's when you're making breakthroughs, especially where we're in a field, in a genre where there's a lot of people have the same people on all the time. And so they know that if they hear, you know, I'll just pick John Zaffis as an example. If they hear John Zaffis on this show or on this show or on this show, he's going to be telling a lot of the same experiences because everybody's going to be asking the same questions. And I feel like if you can find a way to ask the questions that they're not expecting, which is why I never give anybody a list of questions ahead of time. You know, Michelle, when she is booking shows for Midnight Society, she'll ask the guests to send over a list of questions. But generally, I use the first one, and then I probably am looking at that the rest of the time because I just get into a conversation with people. And that's where you start to get that stuff where they say, okay, you know, I agree with you. It doesn't make any sense to me that the earth would be hollow and that there would be the civilization going, but I found this and I found this. And then you can really make that connection with somebody who, you know, what the story they're telling you might be crazy, but the reason why they believe it might not be.
Hey, buddy, does this sound familiar?
Yeah.
His whole breakdown right now? Isn't that what we're always saying?
Yeah.
That's our whole goal? Buddy sounds like he's in a hall. Like he's down the hall. Like I'm talking to him down the hall. Buddy, how's things down the hall?
Things are well, Mike. Thank you.
It sounds like it, dude.
It does.
No, so early on, like my main goal was I watched a couple of like paranormal podcasts, and the first thing I had to take out of it was everybody talking slow and soft and depressing, because I can't do that. But then we did like about almost a year stint where I was like, you know what, I'm not going to disagree with people, because after that point I don't disagree. I still don't really disagree with people, but I was like, I'm going to start to at least like say some stuff, or like not let stuff go, or like try to nail somebody to stuff. Like I wasn't being as aggressive of an interviewer as I could. Like I was trying to be like respectful and nice to people. This is paranormal. A lot of people take it too serious. Some people take it not serious enough. So I get it. So I want to be respectful. But there's that ball breaker in me that I hear something and I don't want to let that go. I want to make sure you know about it like 5 minutes from now, because it's just something that's stuck in my, you know, OCD, ADHD head. So like that's the part of it that I love. And I love like trying to throw people off, because they have note cards. And sometimes you'll ask a question like, buddy, where did you get that champion sweatshirt that you keep advertising? And buddy would say something like, I bought the champion sweatshirt from Dick's Sporting Goods, where you can get all your sporting needs. And you're just like, nah, that's not a right answer. Like, Holly, if you heard that answer, you would think they were just reading it, right?
Yeah.
And Sin, is that kind of what you mean? Like you're getting something, they're not giving you anything. They're just giving you yes or no, right? And you're trying to figure out how to get them off that line of thinking.
Right.
You have to bring it up. I would bring it right up to them. I'd tell you what, you'd be like yes or no, and I'd make a joke about it. Like, I don't know why they want to keep it short. And then I would make them elaborate. You You know what? Ask them
Just
to
ask
elaborate.
why. Yeah, or why do you say that?
And Tim, do you use dead air as a tool? Like you'll say to somebody, but why?
Just sit there.
Well, unfortunately, so I come from
Radio.
a terrestrial radio background,
Yeah.
and we can't get away with that. We actually had an alarm that would go off if we went more than like 20 seconds without saying something.
Wow.
So we kind of like learn to fill in that space. And so I can do that. If somebody's not giving me lengthy answers, I can fill in that space. But I also think that the guest almost becomes a little bit aware when the host is talking too much, and then it's like a subconscious push and pull with who's going to be able to say more. And to me, like I'm happy to just sit back. Some of my best interviews that I've ever done is me asking the first question and then letting the guest just talk. And they might fill up the whole 2 hours, but that's fine because they're giving us great stuff. And it was something that when I took over Midnight in the Desert, I fought a little bit with some of the audience about, because they said to me, well, you don't push back enough sometimes about what people are saying, when Art Bell would always push back. And I said, no, that's not true. Go back and listen to old Art Bell shows. He had the same approach I do. And you know how I know that? Because I exchanged emails with him talking philosophy. And he told me the guest has a story to tell. It's not your job to get in the way of the story. It's your job to ask the questions that the audience would have come to their head as they hear the story. So I try to keep that in mind. It's not my story to tell, and so it's not my story to tear apart. But why did I invite them on if I just want to, embarrass them?
Agreed.
Part of it,
the only thing that Art didn't deal with is the fact that the person he had on was just on like 8 other radio stations that same month, telling the same story.
He was breaking these guests.
Yes.
But the other part of it too is people would say to me as they were, in the chat room as this was going on, they would say like, I haven't heard Tim in 10 minutes. And I would always respond to that by saying, well, I think that's what makes me a good radio show host, is that I have the confidence enough that it's my show, but I don't need to speak every 10 minutes. Like, it's okay if the guest has something to say, and I want to just sit back and be fascinated by it because I think the audience is doing that as well.
See, so I think that's where the podcasting and radio world has to be a little bit different, because right there, taking away the dead air and taking away that ability, because on podcast, you gotta get you can just give them dead air and make them talk, and you don't want to find out the same stuff that you keep hearing, so you have to try to throw them off their main track, right? Like, Sin, have you been noticing that? Like, they want to, everybody wants to get, because it's easy that way. They want you to get go the same way on everything you do, but it's no.
Honestly, I've not run into that yet.
I get
luckily, yeah.
I get it.
So,
buddy, what are your thoughts? Because you look like you're smelling something that's awful.
I just got a whiff of something that was.
I know you did. I saw your face. I'm looking at you. What happened?
I'm sorry. What's up, Mike?
No, I just asked you a question. It was about did you believe that it was be deuces or not?
No, I didn't think so.
You didn't think it was deuces?
I didn't think it was deuces. No.
All right. What did you think it was? Aces?
I thought it was aces, Mike, and I don't know. I think it was just some tens.
Tim, you see what I'm working with?
I think it's just smelling the end results of that peanut butter and jelly beer.
Yeah.
Peanut butter jelly time.
Holly,
Yes.
Block Island. Tell me about the magician. Tell me
Rob.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's been doing magic for over 20 years. He's from New York originally, and he did shows in New York for a while. He's lived out on Block Island for like 15 plus years now. And I met him at Club Soda, Rick's bar. He was just doing magic and amazing everybody, and we've become friends. And now in our second year at Ghost Tours last year, he had been telling me over and over again how he'd love to do a show. He's never had a place to be able to do it. And we got this big space, and I said, hey, Magic, want to do a show? So he did a show last year. It was adults only, BYOB. It was a lot of fun. Every single one of his tricks involved the audience in some way, where like people would come up off, out of their seat onto the stage and do something with him. This year's show is family friendly because we had a lot of children who wanted to come. So he is adjusted a little bit to, cut out some adult humor and involve people of all ages. And he's really good. What he's really good at is close-up magic and mentalism. It's really impressive.
Let me
I've
ask
gotta
you
say.
this. He didn't just show up and start doing magic without being paid. He wasn't just, here I am at the bar, let me do magic all the time. Is that what it
Oh yeah, he walks
really?
around and just does magic. He lives off people's excitement.
And he goes by the name.
People out here call him Magic Rob, which apparently in the magician world is not like, you don't do that and it's not allowed. But we live in a type of community where he didn't really have a say. So
it's like a stand-up comedian being called comedian.
Yeah,
He wouldn't stand a chance.
He's the only magician we got out here. There's no comparison. There's nobody else.
Here's the thing. I grew up with Frank Santos, which is more of an Italian thing. Buddy Drink. He was the R-rated hypnotist, and he would make people do silly things. And so I have no faith in stuff like that. So I'm gonna have to talk to Magic day one and tell him straight up, like, no tricks, mental tricks. You're not gonna convince me to do anything stupid. Or you know what? Now that I know that he does that, I might use him as an alibi.
No. He's not a hypnotist.
Oh.
He's a mentalist. He reads your mind. He doesn't make you do things.
Oh. So he reads my mind, but doesn't make me do things.
Right. Yeah. He's not going to hypnotize you and tell you to, spin in a circle and do a dance.
So not as talented as my wife.
No, not quite. Different talents.
Buddy, you saw Frank Santos. Didn't he scare you away from hypnotists? Be honest.
Yeah, a little bit, because I thought that every one of them were going to make me do funny things, and I didn't want to do funny things.
Tim, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, but they always say. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut. I thought he said.
No, go ahead, Tim.
Oh, no.
I was going to say they always say a hypnotist can never make you do anything that you don't want to do, and I would kind of do almost anything, especially if a hypnotist was giving me the excuse to do it. So I've tried to stay away from hypnotism shows for that very reason.
Yeah, they were popular up here, and they ruined hypnotism for people. Like they'd tell you, go dress up like Batman with anyone with pantyhose. Go dress up like Batman, and this idiot college kid would go with his dirty white hat, come back out looking like Batman, embarrass himself in front of the whole crowd. I'm like, how is that fun? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's not fun. Is it? Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, Magic Rob does things more like, I don't want to give away any of his tricks from this year, but he'll tell you to think of a person or think of a name or pick a word on a piece of paper. He will cue you to think of something, and then he will extract that and tell you exactly what you're thinking. How he does it, no clue, but he does it very well.
Tim, I just wrote down, make sure we follow him around with bad card tricks. The whole time, we try to impress him with our card tricks that are just...
I wonder if he knows this one.
He'll love it. I have a video last year of some guy walking up to us in a bar. I was videotaping Rob doing magic for people at a bar. And this guy very drunkly walked up to us and he was like, are you a magician? And he was like, yeah. And the guy was like, can I show you a trick? And Rob was like, please. And the whole time I have it on video. It's on our Instagram. It's hilarious.
You saw my card trick, though.
I think you showed you, yeah, when you were out here.
Right?
Yeah.
I had to learn that at URI over beer. So you know
Did I ever tell you about the time that I picked up an attractive female magician on the side of the road?
No. What happened?
I don't know. She was just standing there in like this very revealing outfit, and I pulled over and I said, "You're not a prostitute, are you?" And she said, "No, I'm a magician." I said, "All right, get in the car." And she must have been, because I turned into a motel.
Yeah.
This is what you're going to get all weekend.
Oh,
I'm ready for it.
yeah, but what you don't get is, and Buddy, see Buddy looking at the air right there? See Buddy just look. Everybody just see the face Buddy just made, because he knows that I know more bad old jokes than anybody he cares to mention. I live for like jokes like that. Like, you know what I mean? Before I met my wife, I was incomplete. Now I'm finished. Those type of things, like I can't help it. I'll do it all night. So Friday night is going to be a blast. Saturday is going to be a day of odd adventures. I have Mo, the cattle skull that you gave me, that I boiled and then I painted in giant colors right up here on the bar to my left.
Yeah.
I'm not going to move the camera, but I know there's that kind of stuff.
We have a full stack of them sitting in the yard.
We're going to do a lot. We're going to see a lot of spots that are legitimately the vibes off. Like there's places in Block Island where it just doesn't feel right. I'll tell you that much right now. Like there's certain places I'm just like, this isn't that great. Like, you know, it's just not the beach. It's a little spooky. So there's going to be the beach, and then the bar. And I think that's the holy triad of good times. Like those three things. You know what I mean? Like I think that's what will get everyone through all the events we have. Sid, I wish you could make it down.
Me too.
You know what I mean?
Me too.
Would you be making it down, or would you make it across?
Yeah.
I would be going up
And across.
a little bit across. Yeah.
Yeah, the East Coast. So you got to go a lot across.
Northeast.
All right. Don't get snippy. You didn't have
I'm
to
just
get
saying. I'm just saying.
Holly, what would you like to say about Block Island Ghost Tours before we wrap up?
We've got a lot of really exciting things going on this year. We have multiple different types of tours. We have a magic show 4 times a week. Working on an escape room right now also. It's haunted house themed, so trying not to scare everyone away, but also keep it with the Block Island Ghost Tours realm.
Can you do one thing for me, please, that I've been asking? Can you just put like a phone bill or something like that in to scare people? Like just one time. Someone will get the inside joke and maybe they'll find it funny. But like put something that scares like people my age. Put like the mortgage. Put the mortgage. Like just put anything like that in there. Just to scare people, please. That's all. I mean, serious. I asked that.
I'll frame it just for next time you come out.
All right, that's a joke. I want to get in on one of those mystery things. I think that should be there because it'll scare people my age bracket. So, Sin, what do you got to say to wrap up?
I've enjoyed it tonight. Tim, nice meeting you. And Holly, nice meeting you as well. Hope to see you both again.
Buddy.
I don't know who Untitled has on Tuesday, but tune in for It's a Legit Metaphysical World, where she'll welcome somebody from the legit metaphysical realm and walk us further into that world. Thursday, Legit Clips. Next Sunday is Karen Phillips. She's a medium. She does Reiki. She does fun stuff with energy. Tune in. Tim, just one quick question before I go. How were the Foo Fighters in concert? I know you went and saw them.
Ooh.
Absolutely incredible. One of the best shows I've ever seen in my life, and it was everything I expected it would be.
He's on my list. I'll get to see them eventually. But.
All right. So first off, buddy, what do you just got like a shift you're working? Tomorrow night we have 2 shows. We have the horror movie one at 8, and then Russ Stiver's supposed to be coming in at 9 with Curiosity.
Cabinet of Curiosities.
There it is. And then Wednesday we have the news where David Barr is still at, and then we have the Thursday stuff. Right. But on the Foo Fighters note, I'm gonna say his name wrong, but as a bass player, his name was like Mike something, and the name of the album was Tugboat, I want to say. And he did a tour where he had the Foo Fighters open up for them when the Foo Fighters first released their very, very first CD. The other band was led by Eddie Vedder's girlfriend at the time, and he was supposedly playing drums, but you never knew it was him. But then what would happen was after the Foo Fighters played and that other band played, Mike Dodge, I want to say his name is. The name of the thing was Tugboat or something. Ball Hog or Tugboat? Anyways, it's that song, Speaking as a Child of the 70s. That's the song that Eddie Vedder actually sang on. But during that concert, and we got to be right at the stage, you had Eddie Vedder and Dave Grohl as the guitar players for a band. It was just like, it was like, again, it was like Battle of the Network Stars, I guess, for me. I was just like, oh my God, I got a little bit of Nirvana. I got a little bit of Pearl Jam, right? You know? On the drums, I think was the Taylor Hawkins kid, because I remember being a blonde dude, so had to be him. Tim, thanks for coming on short notice. We got notified earlier that the person had a family emergency, and the thing I hope whatever happened is okay, and this joke by no means is attached to them, but it's always funny when a medium calls in because they can't make it. Does no one else get that joke? Like when a medium calls last second,
They didn't know
like,
something was coming
yeah,
up.
you know, like a medium calls last second, and hey, something last second came up. Because there's that part of me goes, you know what? You didn't see that coming, really? You didn't know that on Friday? like
my best friend is a medium, and she hates that joke.
Yeah, you must do it all the time, right?
All the time.
Can't help it. It's the jerk in me. Yeah, Buddy's still not in picture. He's probably out with the loons. All right, I'll wrap it up for him. Tim, thank you so much. And this is Holly. This is how I got to say it. Holly from Block Island Ghost Tours. 4, Sin Schrader Hill for Buddy. Money there for Tim Weisberg. It is me, Michael Larry King, Mike Yell. This was Legit Paranormal, brought to you by LegitPodcast.com. Thank you. We'll see you for tomorrow's show. Hopefully, Buddy comes back. You never know.